All right.
Sweet.
This one's a little bit over the slot. Wow. Really stuck it to him with that big rod. Nice. Yeah, he's a little long. Almost 18 inches. We're getting a lot of those fish in that 17.5 to 19-inch range. Really nice fish. I'll get this one back in. Welcome back to this week's report. You know, as we get into February here, mobility is even going to be more essential than it's been over the last month. The fish are just really up and down based on temperatures. You know, earlier this week and late last week, very, very cold. Shut the fish down. You know, it's more of a morning, evening bite. However, even if we keep guys on the moves, like we've been doing in the portable shelters, but ultimately the best bite's going to be if you can get out and do a little bit of ice trolling. Today the temperatures are going to be in the mid-20s, so very conducive to getting out, just drilling lots of holes and just moving down the break line, much like you do in a boat. There we go, first keeper of the day. We've gotten some of those 17.5, 17 and a quarter, kind of the heartbreaker fish, but first keeper. And that's the one thing is most of the week we spent in the shelters, it's just been way too cold to get out and ice troll. However, like I've talked about all season long, you can still be comfortable and yet mobile. And all we're doing is just simply moving the shelters down the break 20, 30, even 50 yards at a time, and then just cycling back through where you're finding the fish. Because certainly some spots you go to, you just don't mark any, and also the next spot you're marking them, but they're not biting. Those are great spots to come back to. Now, like today, finally we got a warm up here, so we do have some guys out ice trolling. These guys are going to spend some time in the shelter. However, when we get later in the day as it warms up, especially midday, it's very important to stay on the move. Biggest thing is when you're in deep water, you just want them to come in from afar. And so by rainbowing that spoon up, you're just trying to draw them in. It's like a call bait or attractant. And then when they come onto it, you know, you don't want to be pulling it away from them. Here, let me show you. That's when you go back to that really light bounce and let them come up to the bait. It's so unnatural for their baits to come to them. Everybody wants to drop their spoon down to the fish. If the fish momentum's already coming up for it and they're coming up in that water column to hit it, 9 times out of 10 they're going to strike it, you know. So that's why I like to fish high. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, and a lot of times they'll come up to that spoon, like we've talked about all season long, and if they won't hit your spoon, they'll definitely hit that dead stick. This girl back in the water. Oh. Nice fish. We'll get this girl back in. Look at that beauty. Big fat female. That's what we're after. Wow. And that's the thing. Even in February, even though the temperatures have been up and down, we've got snow, the conditions seem to change every single day out here. As long as you stay on the move, as long as you're ice trolling and just go from hole to hole, you're going to stay on the fish. And like I said, don't be afraid to cycle back through. You know, mentally it seems like anglers have this idea that if I've fished a hole already, there's not going to be any more fish. We just keep cycling back and forth through these holes, moving down the break and then sliding right back, because in this deeper water, these fish just cycle up onto the structure and then they move back into deep water. So until next week, I'm Tony Roach, and we'll see you on the water.